Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, I wanted to throw out some Criterion Collection recommendations because with any luck, either today or sometime within the next week, Criterion should be doing their 24-hour flash sale on their website. So this is something that they do, I think, twice a year. It's usually in March and it's usually in October. I've been hearing tons of rumblings that it's going to happen today, so I'm probably going to drop this video today, but it could happen sometime, maybe tomorrow, maybe sometime in the next week. It's going to happen soon, I guess what I'm trying to say, because they always do this in March and October. So this has nothing to do with the Barnes & Noble sale that occurs in July and November. This is strictly on the Criterion website, so you have to get on the Criterion site for that. So definitely pay attention to my community tab. I will post it as soon as the sale goes live. I will post it on my community tab on YouTube. I'll also post it on Instagram and Twitter and all the other places on social media that I'm at. So definitely follow me at all those places down below. But yeah, I just went over there on the shelf and I just pulled, so I didn't have any specific number in mind. I just pulled a bunch of Criterion titles off the shelf that I think you need to have. These are must-own titles. You know, you may be new to the Criterion collection. You're thinking to yourself, Ken, where do I start with these Criterion Blu-rays and 4Ks? I need some help. I need you to help me out here. So I'm going to do that here today. And I'm going to recommend some bangers, guys, some real bangers. Well, let's go ahead and start with a couple of Coen Brothers movies that I think that these are must-owns in your collection. If you don't know who the Coen Brothers are, they did Fargo, they did Big Lebowski, they did No Country for Old Men, they did Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Tons of great movies in the Coen Brothers resume, but these are two movies, I think these are two of their earliest films that they did, Blood Simple and Miller's Crossings. If you guys do not have these in your collection, you need them. They are both great films. I would argue these are both top 5 Coen Brothers films, in my opinion. Blood Simple is probably a top 3 film. If you love, the thing about Blood Simple is it does have Frances McDormand in it. Now, this was the first movie that they did. If you love the more serious Coen Brothers stuff, like Fargo, like No Country for Old Men, this is kind of more along those lines. You know, they hadn't developed their more comedic side yet that they would later do with films like Big Lebowski and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So this is definitely more on the serious side as far as Coen Brothers movies. Definitely think No Country for Old Men when you watch this film, but it has a great cast. It's a great story. It's a simple story. It's a Blood Simple story, but it's just really good and engaging and captivating and just keeps you on the edge of your seat till the end. So I love Blood Simple. It's one of my favorite Coen Brothers films. It might be my second favorite, to be honest, behind No Country for Old Men, which is my favorite. But this has, you know, tons of great special features. It's a new restored 4K digital transfer. I would love it if Criterion did a 4K of this one. I think that would be great. But Blood Simple is definitely slept on when you're talking about Coen Brothers movies, so definitely check this one out. It is a great movie. Blood Simple is awesome. Miller's Crossing, I talk about this one all the time on the channel. This has great special features in it. They did interviews, you know, with Gabriel Byrne and I think, God, what is it? John Turturro. So it has some great interviews in it. And they also did, I think, Joel and Ethan Coen did an interview in this as well. But the movie is so good. It's a Prohibition era film set back in the 20s where alcohol was illegal. And it's kind of like a gangster drama, but this is where the Coen Brothers really started to throw in a little bit more of that comedic stuff. And I think it really works with the story. They balance the drama and the comedy very well. But yeah, a great cast. You got Albert Finney in this movie, Gabriel Byrne. Such a good cast. I would recommend this movie to anybody, especially if you're a fan of those period piece drama, you know, 1920s prohibition. Like if you were a fan of the TV show Boardwalk Empire, I would definitely recommend this movie to you. It's fantastic. And it's another early Coen Brothers movie. And that Criterion release is awesome. It looks great. Bringing Up Baby is a movie starring Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. This is from 1938. And I think when a lot of people think of comedy, they have to have comedy that's kind of relatable to them. It's all about like what's funny today versus what was funny like 50, 60 years ago. Obviously that changes, but there's certain types of comedy that holds strong all through the decades, that's just timeless, that doesn't age. And that's the kind of comedy that they bring here. Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant, in particular Katharine Hepburn, have great comedic timing in this movie. They're just a great duo together. And this is one of those movies that I watched and I was like, I'm sure I'll enjoy this movie, but I didn't expect to laugh out loud several times in this film like I did. Like I was completely shocked how this movie hit me. It's very funny. It's a very funny, I don't know if you would call it a romantic comedy or more like a slapstick goofier comedy. I guess it has some romantic qualities to it, but it's a really good movie, and it has some fun bits with a cheetah in it, as you can see by the cover right there. And I love how that tail wraps around too. It's a great release. Got some great special features in here. I was just really taken by this movie when I watched it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It made me want to check out more movies from the 30s like this. But Bringing Up Baby is a freaking all-time classic with some classic stars, and I would definitely recommend this to anybody. Like, if you're just a fan of comedies, I recommend. You don't even have to be a fan of classic movies. It's a really great movie, black and white movie. Don't Look Now is batshit crazy insane. It's got Donald Sutherland in it, Julie Christie. It's wild. It's a horror movie. It's definitely, I don't know if I'd call it scary, but there are some creepy moments in it. It's from 1973. It has some really creepy moments in it, but the ending to this movie is really what puts it over the top for me. So Don't Look Now. I watched this one. I didn't know what to expect. I read nothing about this movie, and I got to the end, and I was like, holy shit, this is one of the creepiest, haunting images that I've ever seen in my life in any movie. And then you got a 10-minute long sex scene between Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie that just lasts way too long, but it's perfect for this movie, I think. Don't Look Now is a banger, though. If you haven't seen this, it's great classic horror. Classic horror at its best. I don't think the 70s gets enough credit for all the great horror films that it has. The 80s definitely does, but the 70s doesn't get enough credit. There was a lot of great, spectacular horror films in the 1970s, and Don't Look Now is definitely one of them. So I would recommend this one for sure. A lot of great special features, as there is with a lot of Criterion releases. Raging Bull. My goodness, guys. This is probably Martin Scorsese's best film to me. I did think it was Taxi Driver, and then I watched this one again, and I was like, this one kind of takes it for me. Like, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in this film are just perfect. Like, they're great in Goodfellas together, but my God, they're great in Casino together. In this movie, I think it's their best outing together, at least in a Martin Scorsese film. I don't know if they were in any other movies together, but Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in this movie are just so good, and it's such a great story. I always call this movie the anti-Rocky, so if you watch Rocky and then you watch Raging Bull for the polar opposite experience of what it's like to be a boxer back in the day. But yeah, Robert De Niro, he's just such a good actor, but Joe Pesci in this movie really kind of steals the show, I think, for me. But this is a great movie, Raging Bull, if you haven't seen it. And this 4K, and this is the only 4K that I think I have here to recommend. No, I got another one down here. This 4K looked fantastic. A lot of people say that black and white is not necessary to get on 4K. I completely disagree. Like, black and white has some of the best 4K transfers that I've ever seen, because they really enhance and highlight the contrast between the black and the white. And all the black and white 4K transfers that I've ever seen have always looked spectacular. So don't think for a second that HDR can only improve colored movies, because it can absolutely improve drastically black and white movies. In some cases, I think better than it can color. So Raging Bull is a fantastic release. If you get it in the Criterion sale, it's going to run you about $25, which I think is an absolute steal. Some great special features in this as well. Criterion definitely. I was so excited when they announced that one. The Princess Bride is just a classic. This is just an all-time classic. Carrie Elwes, Robin Wright. This is a classic adventure movie. You also got Fred Savage in the beginning. His grandfather. I just love the storytelling mechanic that they use in this movie, with the grandfather reading Fred Savage the story in the beginning, and then they kind of flash back and forth between the actual movie. You got Andre the Giant in this film. Who doesn't love Andre the Giant back when he was kind of trying to become an actor a little bit? But such a great, fun adventure movie. It's definitely an all-time classic, and I love what Criterion did with this case right here, because it feels like an actual storybook, like one of those, what do they call them, like little golden books or something like that. It feels like one of those, and you open it up and it's got the pages and stuff like that inside. So really cool edition by Criterion. And then, you got the disc inside as well. The only thing I will warn you all on is this one. They haven't done it yet. There's no announcement, no rumors at this point, but this feels like one that they will upgrade to 4K at some point. But the thing is I don't know if they'll do this storybook again. So this might be the only opportunity you have to get this storybook edition. And, on the back, you have that classic line, "As You Wish." It's so good. Such a great edition. I just love the way it feels. And yeah, Criterion will do cool stuff like this from time to time. I wish they would do it more. But this storybook edition of Princess Bride is just fantastic. And if you haven't seen this movie, this is a must-own for any movie lover's collection. Directed by Rob Reiner, the great Rob Reiner, did tons of great movies. Another classic movie from the 80s that everybody should have in their collection. Classic comedy, coming-of-age story, teen movie, kind of teen drama as well, is Amy Heckerling's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So I used to watch this movie. I used to watch Dazed and Confused all the time. I love Dazed and Confused. And I watched this movie, I think, around the same time. And this one didn't hit me as good as Dazed and Confused. I think Dazed and Confused is a little bit more fun. But you watch this movie as a kid and you don't realize that not all of it's supposed to be funny. Like some of it's supposed to actually hit you in a dramatic way. So when I watched this a few years ago, for the first time in like 15 years, it hit me in a whole new way. And this is such a smart, compelling teen drama. Definitely some moments of comedy in here. You got Spicoli, played by Sean Penn, who's absolutely fantastic. Phoebe Cates in this movie. Everybody knows the pool scene. It is good. It is good. Judge Reinhold's in this movie. I think he's great. But the cast is great. I mean, Jennifer Jason Leigh is great. Everybody's so good together. All the kids are so great together in the film. The soundtrack is just top-notch. Maybe the best 80s movie soundtrack ever of all time. But I absolutely love this movie, and I was so happy, when Criterion put this one out. It looked fantastic. It's got some good special features as well. You had a commentary with Amy Heckerling and Cameron Crowe, and they were talking with Olivia Wilde. I think she was the moderator. But it was a new kind of interview, and they were talking about the making of the movie and just the process that went into it and all this, and what it meant to them now in 2021, I think is when this came out. So it was a really great interview with the two of them. You also get the TV cut on this Criterion as well. So you get 2 cuts of the movie in this edition. But what a great movie. This is just a classic 80s comedy, coming-of-age movie. If you haven't seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you absolutely have to. It's probably one of the more important movies as far as like teen comedy, coming-of-age films. I mean, this came out before John Hughes really got big, so this was kind of came in like before the whole John Hughes kind of takeover, where he just wrote every teen movie from, I think, 1984 on, like, was all John Hughes, and this one came out before that. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High is fantastic. I recommend it. And lastly, we got Malcolm X on 4K. This one came out last year, I think in November, and what a great Criterion release. This movie is such an epic masterpiece, in my opinion. I love it so much. Denzel Washington just puts on the performance of a lifetime as Malcolm X. It is so cool to watch Denzel work in this movie. He goes through every single range of emotion, just giving, in my opinion, probably pound for pound his best performance in his entire career. A lot of people would say Training Day. I love him in Training Day, but I think his best performance is probably Malcolm X. He's so good in this movie. Directed by Spike Lee, who's just, a classic film director at this point, legendary. But what a great addition by Criterion. They really put a lot into this box set release right here. Such a great box set. And I'll kind of just flip it open. You got booklets and multiple discs and just all that stuff. Like I said, 3-hour movie, tons of special feature. It is a 4K release as well. And the 4K just looked amazing. So the one thing about it is with Criterion is when they do these box set like digipack releases, like you will never not be able to get these, at least as far as I know. Like Criterion always does these editions. So if you order this in the sale, even though I picked this up back in November, you'll still get it with this digipack and all the bells and whistles. So definitely well worth your time and money investment for this Malcolm X release right here. So there you have it, guys. That's my I guess I recommended 8 Criterions to pick up in the flash sale. And yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I will notify you guys when the Criterion Flash Sale goes live, and my community tab and my story post on Instagram, all that stuff. So definitely pay attention to me over there so you guys can know exactly when this Criterion sale starts, because you're going to want to jump on it like immediately. It's only 24 hours, so you only have a very small window of time to jump into it. But yeah, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. Follow me on all my social media accounts down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.